Hello, everyone, and welcome back to TV for Real, where reality and scripted TV collide. I am Sasha Joseph, and of course, Mike is away. Maybe he was taken by the road, but fear not. Okay, because when the world outside your window is not great, we rely on Jason Reed to come help us talk and take us down the witch's road. Welcome, Jason. We're talking Marvel again.
Sasha, that our old intro brings me back the memories. We're here to talk Marvel. I was a little nervous after watching Agatha All Along when you decided to assemble a group of people together. I didn't know what was going to happen when I got here. I'm glad my soul has been taken. My life force is still with me. I don't know. I don't know if it works differently on a StreamYard. Are you going to try and take all of our like internet data? Like what? How does it work digitally? I don't know. But I'm glad to be here talking Marvel with you again. It's like old times. I'm so happy to be here and talking Agatha.
Yes, and listen, we have to finish our coven and we have to bring in the most powerful, okay? So we had to bring in Frannie Marin from Survivor 44 to come talk Agatha All Along. The people have been wanting this, okay? They said, we need to bring in Frannie to talk Agatha. And I said, duh, covered. Here we are. So welcome, Frannie.
Thank you. Yeah, if you mean the people wanted this, it's me. I wanted this. I definitely just like yelled at Rob about how much I like Agatha All Along, in the hopes of cementing my place in this coven. So I'm so psyched to be here with you two. Period. Yeah, I was like, get in here. Because this is like, I watch so little TV. Like it is really Survivor or bust for me. But yeah, like the WandaVision, Agatha, like, ooh, that is my second baby. And so I'm so excited to be here talking about it today.
Yes, we're so happy. And maybe I make a fake promise to not take any of your powers, but we'll see how I feel at the end. Maybe there's a kiss somewhere there.
Oh, yeah.
But listen, okay, Frannie, you started talking about this. Yeah, so I'd love to hear from you and Jason. What drew you then as a non maybe scripted TV watcher, with this whole Wanda and Agatha? What's drawing you here?
Yeah. So my like Marvel journey in general, I'll zoom out a little bit, started when it was announced that there was going to be this, the 2-part movie, this Avengers Infinity War and then Avengers Endgame. And I had not engaged with Marvel really at all before hearing about those movies. I think I had seen Thor Ragnarok, which like everybody saw. I was like, this is funny, but I just didn't get the lore. And I heard that this thing was coming, and I love that kind of stuff. I love when there's like a culmination with all these Easter eggs building up to something. I was like, I got to get involved in that. So I watched like every single Marvel movie, became like a huge fan in a very short period of time. And then, as everyone did, like died a happy death in the theater watching both of those movies. Take me back to that time. And then afterwards, Wanda was like my favorite character. Loved the Scarlet Witch. Like she is such a badass. And so WandaVision was the perfect thing to get into to, be like a up-to-date current Marvel fan, especially during COVID. Like that was such a intense lockdown time. That was really a comfort show for me. And so, yeah, and I loved Catherine Hahn, loved Agatha. I was like, how could I not watch Agatha All Along? I've been like so excited for this.
Oh, love that. Yes. And Jason, Jason is our resident comic book expert. Jason and I have been through some shit coverage. So, how are you feeling here?
I'm feeling good. Sasha and I have covered Marvel shows. We've been through the highs of Loki, the lows of She-Hulk. So we've been through it all.
I would say Invasion.
Oh my God. So I blocked that out. Thank you. Like I'm like Lilia. I blocked it out. Now I remembered that my part of that, my time journey there. And I'm
why would you bring that up?
Why would you do that? But yeah, so, WandaVision, I loved. It was never my top show, but I really enjoyed it. Agatha, I think, was a great successor, and in a lot of ways, for me, is better than WandaVision. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it. But yeah, so I'm happy that we're here talking about this show because it was really a great surprise for me, I would say, because I had talked to Grace back when Wolverine and Deadpool came out about Wolverine and Deadpool about how like Marvel's biggest villain right now is expectation. right? So it's like there's so many people are expecting
Whoa!
many things, and
That is the big bad, yes.
they don't deliver
Yeah.
on what we
Yeah.
as fans, stunt cast and want. But I think the expectation for Agatha was kind of low because it's like, okay, Agatha was a great character 2 years ago in WandaVision. No one's been thinking a lot about it. So this kind of snuck up on us and came out and was like, oh shit, like this is good. Like this is some good stuff. And I think because expectations weren't super high, we could come in not expecting like a whole bunch and be pleasantly surprised with what we got.
Yeah, same for me, Jason, where I was like, oh, here we go again. What, me mid nonsense are they gonna give me that I'm gonna have to lap up because I'm a Marvel girly? So here I'm back. And then I started watching. And to me, even from the start of episode 1, I said, oh, this just feels different. And maybe, Frannie, you're right. Like, it's this WandaVision, like a universe that we need to live in because that's where it feels good. Everything else doesn't. And is Marvel just doing magic well? Is that what it is? Harry Potter, who? And is that where we're moving?
I mean, people that watch Doctor Strange, the second Doctor Strange, might have some words with you, but I don't know. This magic, they did fantastic, but we'll talk about Doctor Strange Mom maybe another time. But
we're just gonna
here they did.
act like things don't exist here, and that's it. Okay, thank you. But yeah, and I also was like, I'm still gonna watch it because it feels exciting. I loved WandaVision, not my number one. Obviously, Miss Marvel was my number one. And I'm still gonna enjoy it, but whatever. Let's see. And then I started watching, and then I said, this is going to be amazing. And I've watched it twice now, and it still kills me. Like, I am finding new stuff every single time, and storytelling is beautiful. The end, wild, because I don't understand.
Yeah,
What happened, Teen?
It's not every show that can introduce you to 3 or 4 brand new characters, and you really care about each of these characters by the end of their journey here. And Sasha, you said to rewatch it. I rewatched it too. I don't know about you, Frannie, but the rewatchability of this is it begs you to rewatch it at the end of episode 8 and 9. So it's like I have to rewatch to see all the little moments that I missed, knowing now the truth. So in those ways, the series like hits it out of the park with both character, emotion, and it's a Marvel show, but it's not until episode 8 do we get into the big like lights action. Like it's like Kevin Feige stepped in after episode 7. He's like, okay, but where's all the lights? Where's all the action? Where's all the
fighting? Where's the pew and the boom boom?
Yeah, they're like, fine, we'll give you some in episode 8. Like, take it and just be gone. Let us tell our great story. Here's a little light show. But most of it was just these fantastic stories about journey and about emotion and about like who these characters are at their core and what they're looking for and why. So for those reasons, like the show really like does a number of things very, very well.
Love that. And Frannie, do you have any characters that you just fell in love with?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I loved Lilia. I felt like that was her episode was like the strongest one. And exactly what you were just saying, Jason, like incredible that they were able to give us so much buy-in in such a short time to this character. Like, I thought every moment with her was so strong. It was so fun, the process of trying to put together all of her outbursts throughout the show and then have them like so clearly laid out and like all just slot perfectly together. Oh, it was so satisfying. I loved it. Amazing. Yeah, honestly, I mean, like every character. I also loved Rio. Like, I thought Aubrey Plaza did such a good job. Especially like I think the first episode felt really different from the rest of the series. Like, it does feel really separate. But thinking back to that one, like her role and like her relationship with Agatha is so interesting there. Like, I love the way that she's introduced. I really, really hope that we get to see more of her as Death. I think that she's like so exciting. The moment I was like, I just absolutely lost my shit in the moment. I think it was a second to last episode where she like punches through the drop.
So good.
Whoa, I could not believe my eyes. I loved that. It was so good. And like, she's very like, she's a little like irreverent or something. Like, even the way she just like skips down the road at the beginning, or she like, I love when the Coven is first introduced to Rio, and she does the thing with her voice where she's like, I'm like a Green Witch, the Green Witch. Like it felt like this meta joke where like, that Aubrey Plaza is quirky. She's not a traditional like Marvel casting choice. And she just like really made it her own, which I loved.
Yeah.
And you really have to get the casting right to really pull off those dramatic changes in character that Aubrey's able to pull off. And you mentioned that practical stunt where they strip down the scenery in the back, where it's like, oh my god, that was such a great practical effect. And it felt really great that this show was mostly practical. Of course there's some CGI stuff in there, but it felt mostly practical, where Sasha, you and I talked She-Hulk, which was like all CGI and not a lot of it done well. And to see this show pull off what it did with seemingly mostly practical effects, especially with that slash in the background, I was like, oh my god, that was fantastic. It's such a great use of scenery and such a great use of set design that it really just it blew my mind when I saw. I was like, oh my god, that's for real. That happened for real.
Yes. Well, and like it feels really refreshing compared to like, especially, and I'm thinking like Multiverse of Madness too, like so much of the like magic and power in Marvel has gotten so CGI that you like I feel like it loses its impact when every character's power just feels like they like pew light at someone else, and like we totally got some of that, but I feel like like we said, like Kevin Feige just came in and said like, okay, we need to throw this in. Like that was so clearly not the strength of the show. And it was refreshing. Like it really felt like something new. I also, with that, really enjoyed their choice to, have this kind of classic Marvel fight scene in the penultimate episode. Because I loved WandaVision so much, but I found the last episode of WandaVision like a little disappointing. You know what I mean? Like I loved all of the hex and like all of the Easter eggs of the different eras, and I loved going back and forth between like the hex and reality. But at the end, when it's just like we're flying and we're shooting, light, it felt like it cheapened the rest of the show for me. So I loved that you have that moment, you get the classic Marvel, but then the real end is this emotional journey with Agatha and her son. Like that was so much more satisfying.
Yeah, I just love this word satisfying, because that's what I felt watching the whole thing. You're right that 8 and 9, 8 felt like the show, and then 9 felt like the Marvel piece of it. And they were still able to just do such good character building. And why did I care about people that I feel like it was revealed to us pretty like maybe mid-season, right? That like only X amount of witches are gonna make it out or whatever. And even then, I still cared about people I met, right? Like episode 1, poor Kitty Foreman just going down. I shouldn't name. Okay, yeah, Sharon Davis. I know what her name is, but it's just the fact that Miss Sharon Davis or Mrs. Hart, aka Kitty Foreman, goes so quickly, and you still wanted her to be there, and you still wanted her to come back instead of when Rio shows up. To me, that just shows the strength of character, the strength of storytelling, and how satisfying every little trial felt. Like I was like, make this into the escape rooms immediately.
And well, I was worried. I was worried that the escape room bit or gag or whatever would get old, because I was like, okay, we're just gonna do escape rooms every episode. But they managed. I've had PTSD from Marvel. But they were able to keep it fresh and keep it lively every time, with kind of really switching things up. And they didn't, I'm glad they didn't do, like 7 or 8 straight escape rooms, all in a row. They really broke it up and gave us, they gave us Billy's origin story in between all that. So it didn't feel like there was this like bookend of like, okay, we have an intro, we got a bunch of fun escape rooms, and then our finale. So it really was great. They broke it up. And even when they did do the escape room bit, it was different every time. It was a different goal to accomplish. And it really kind of helped to tell a story about each different character. Like Alice's escape room story journey was great because we got to see how kind of her feelings, we got to see her resolve some things by the end of it. So it was really fantastic, especially with Lilia's episode 7
Oof.
thing was just like fantastic. Like I agree with Frannie, like probably the best episode of the show was that one. So it was great that we could use this mechanism of escape rooms, but we're also going to use it effectively to tell a story.
Yeah, and that was never like it never felt like that was the point of the escape room, is like the answer to the whatever they're trying to solve. It was like a means to an end of telling a story about the character, exactly like you said, which is what makes the real impact. Yeah, I will say though, I wish we had seen more of Jen. I feel like Jen got a little bit shafted narratively.
So underrated.
Like she's the only one who makes it out alive, but like I loved her and I wanted to see so much more of her story. So I don't know. I'm like really optimistic that she can have another like moment or cameo or something down the line in Marvel.
It's tough for me to really pinpoint the standout between a Jen, Alice, and Lilia because they were all just fantastic and they're these brand new characters. And you know, Sashir Zameda, who I'd only known from Saturday Night Live, she came in here and killed this, like murdered it with all of her, like she was a lot of the comedic relief throughout the show, which is really fun. But in the way that her we didn't get enough of her story, like there was a lot of her story hinted at, we didn't get enough of it. And the fact that she escapes at the end, you know, we've talked Marvel a lot and about unfulfilled promises, unfulfilled stories, and more what we want to see. We can talk about the end journey and where and if we'll see that. But I just hope somewhere down the line we see Jen again. I feel like even coming out of Agatha All Along, one of my criticisms is that we have so much story that's out there that we didn't get through these 9 episodes. I hope Marvel can, you know, pick up those stories at some point down the line and fill us in. Because I mean, something that I'll highlight here, like Rio and Agatha's love story, I don't feel like we got enough of that at all.
Not even barely a taste. Barely a taste. We were so like teased with that. I was shocked that they didn't dive into it more. And I think that they maybe like weren't expecting people to get so excited about it. I don't know what the deal is. And I understand the value in not showing it, because I think the flip side, say they had really fully dived into Jen's story, fully dived into Agatha and Rio. We also still don't know how Agatha got the Darkhold. Insane. Excuse me. Like, how is that not resolved? But I think that there's a world where if they actually show all of those things, it is too jam-packed and the story doesn't feel as like concise or pointed. So I do think that it benefited from the kind of like streamlining, but please, I hope they follow up.
Listen, Marvel, if you can promise me an Agatha All Along season 2, I will take back my criticisms. I will. If you're going to promise me they're going to get these stories solved down the road, but me knowing who Marvel is, what Marvel does, you know, we have so many plot lines that are dangling. I don't want any of these plot lines to dangle. I want to see Billy and Agatha's journey to find Tommy. I need a season 2 to fully digest it. I don't want a Young Avengers movie where Billy and Tommy show up and like, hey, I found my brother. Like, it doesn't matter how it happened. It just happened. I need to see that journey. I need to see more, you know, Agatha flashbacks of her and Rio's love story and how that came to be. I need more. Like, it's good that a series leaves us wanting more, but I feel like it was almost an incomplete story in some ways. So I'll give it like, I'll ding it some points for that.
Yeah, and I think that's fair because Marvel does that way too much in this new phase, whichever one we're in now. Please be serious. Now that the whole Kang thing is dead, and I really don't know where we are. But
they don't know where they are. That truly.
And I feel that they're trying so hard to introduce all these like really interesting, diverse characters, starting right all the way back to Shang-Chi, and they just said, "Okay, now we give it to you, and that's it." You know, and hell, why is Wong in every damn everything? And we still like, what's the reason? We still don't know.
Yeah. Conspicuously absent from Agatha All Along. Where was the Wong cameo? Okay. That was incomplete.
Yeah, I was watching something, and I forget where they said now Agatha is the Wong in the magic.
She's gonna show up and everything.
Yeah, because she's now a ghost, so you know, much easier to like tie that into every story. And I will say, did y'all see this where they said Vision, right, is gonna be the third part of
Vision
this?
Quest.
Yeah,
So
Vision
now I'm
Quest, yeah.
like, what the hell? Don't make me care about another set of people that you're not gonna fully finish or flesh out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
okay.
listen,
you go.
Vision's story is still needs to be solved from WandaVision, because it's another threat that's been dangling for a couple of years now. So yeah, that is the seemingly fittingly the third part of this series. The question is that where we're going to see Agatha and Billy, or is this just going to be Vision? I just need to know where we're going to pick up on these plot lines. I need to know that Marvel has a plan, because I've been burned by them. I need to know that there's a plan in place.
Concept of a plan.
Yeah.
That's what we are. Oh my god, no, this is great. I think let's get into plots and things that we're excited for. And listen, just like I've never related more to a character than Lilia, because we're just gonna go all over the place, and it is what it is. Y'all watch Agatha, you know what's gonna happen. But anyway, I think we can start kind of with episode 1, because Frannie, you alluded to this, where it starts with WandaVision, right? Like basically where we're in a syndicated crime show, and like your NYP, whatever, one of them shows, and then. But you see all your people that you're like, oh, the Westview people have made it. What's going on? And then we see Agatha being like the world's most copyist cop.
Yeah.
Like
she could not be any copier. Yeah.
Yeah, like the stereotype. I was like, girl, hang it up.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, but then seeing that journey of her, and then we meet all our people we need to meet, where and then we see Teen or Billy show up, and Aubrey Plaza, Rio shows up as well. And I said, is this gonna be Agatha and Rio's love story? Because them hanging out,
there were vibes. There were vibes. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Who is this, and why are there sparks here? I said, okay, let's explore this. So yeah, the first episode did feel like a bridge from WandaVision to what Agatha would be with the with the show. I think it's supposed to be probably like close to like a Mayor of Easttown type of vibe, like a female cop that is like has this like Philly accent or something. It was interesting. But I liked how you can tell that the fact that both Wanda is dead, and that it's really affecting, because you can imagine that Wanda dying would affect the spell that Wanda put on Agatha, as it's like starting to break down. And then Billy shows up and then seemingly puts the whole kibosh on it by doing the spell he did on her, which was interesting. So it was a very the vibes were good on it. I would say it's one of my least favorite episodes. I think I one of the aspects I didn't love of WandaVision was all the parodying of the TV shows. So it didn't hit for me as I felt it should have hit, I thought, for the first episode.
Yeah, no, that's fair. For me, I think I like a good nostalgia bait. So I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. Yes, okay, I'm with you. I'm in it, and I think which go to say about the whole series, but just the way they do costumes to tell a story felt really fascinating, because at the basically at the end, where Rio is like telling her, okay, like basically trying to bring her out of it, and they're in the morgue, and when Agatha takes off like layers of clothes, I feel like you can write a dissertation just on that, and how each thing is almost like her eras, we know now. And I don't know, it's fascinating. Then we see that Wanda is allegedly dead. But do y'all think?
Yeah, I really want to know what y'all think about that. The body, and then as well the like library card, checking out the book situation. My take on it is that here's my take on it. I don't think that Wanda is dead. I think that Wanda has managed to somehow like transfer herself to another part of the multiverse or something, or is existing in this ephemeral form, almost similar to how we see Tommy existing. And then Billy is able to get him a body by the end of the series. That's kind of what I think. So I think maybe like in a physical sense in this universe, she's dead, but in a broader sense, no way.
I mean, listen, it's comics. Like no
Yeah.
no one ever stays dead in comics. So
Yeah.
In any
eventually,
comic ever. Yeah.
yeah, eventually everyone that dies will return. So I think there's no way that Wanda will stay dead in this universe. I think we to get the payoff to this, we have to have a scene somewhere in a movie, in a TV show with Wanda, Vision, Tommy, and Billy in the same room. I think that's the payoff we have to have. And even this show, throughout this series, was playing with us about Wanda's, health. Is she dead? Is she not? It's like Billy's like, so is Wanda actually dead? She's like, well, kinda, sorta, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
So it's like I think there's no freaking way that Wanda stays dead. We'll see her at some point down the road.
Down the road.
Don't get me started singing the Witch's Rose
ballad.
Let me tell you, I've been listening to it on Spotify. I've been listening to it in the car. I've been humming it around the house. My wife's like, "What are you singing, humming?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I'm not going to put the earworm into your ear." Just let you, if in case y'all weren't aware, the people that composed the Witch's Ballad, all the versions we heard, were the same people that did Let It Go for Frozen. So
it's over. They knew.
They know what they're doing.
They're earworm specialists.
I love the different versions. It was so fun. And like in the first episode too, the end credits, it's like, ooh, I literally, I mean, like, yeah, listen to all of them on Spotify. It's kind of embarrassing because I listened to the like 4 different versions back to back. Like I really need to switch to a different song, but they feel so different. It's like really impressive.
But Frannie, to go back to your original thing, Wanda, I think is for sure going to be back in our lives at some point. It's virtually guaranteed.
I just don't think Marvel has enough people left to kill off such a big character. Like there's a reason they keep pushing back the Avengers, because they don't know what the hell's going on. And you know what I mean? It's just, we don't have nothing. And now the young Avengers, we obviously need Tommy for it as well. Like there's no way Wiccan and I forgot his Speed aren't gonna be right in the Maximoff twins aren't gonna be in freaking young Avengers. But either way, it's just we don't have enough. Scarlet Witch is coming back. And also I think Marvel loves it. We saw this in Loki, right? Likes to do this whole, predestiny, right? Where, this is your path, and like nothing you do can change the outcome. It might prolong it, death, or not, but it's gonna happen. So I think that's what we're gonna get with the Wanda, where they're gonna be like, she was always destined to come back, but live a life of, she has to pay for her sins, and that's why she had to live this life. Well, like we're gonna get some nonsense.
As a comic book fan, there are 50,000 ways for you to come back to life. There's transferring consciousness. There's another multiverse. There's something or other. Even if Elizabeth Olsen doesn't want to come back, we'll find a way to bring her back in a new body. Okay, like we'll figure it out. Scarlet Witch, Wanda will be back in one way or another. But yeah, I think it's impossible that she's dead. She'll be back.
Yeah, love that. and now, okay, Agatha, has been out of it for a few weeks, is what we're told by the neighbor, and she's come back. She's living her life, and the premise is set, right? She wants her purple back. She needs to figure out how to make this happen. And this teen has shown up in her life who seems to really like want to help her and, bring her back and also walk the road. And now the road is introduced, which is so exciting to me. I don't know why I was so into it, but I was. And they decide, hey, we're going to walk the road. I got some time from Rio.
What did y'all think of Rio's introduction? Yes. I was unclear of why Rio wants to kill Agatha right now. Why are they having beef at the moment?
I kind of read it as just like, little lovers quarrel or something,
That's what I read.
It's like on the playground, like the person she likes, she's like picking on, bullying, like, hey,
she's pulling her hair. Yeah.
Yes.
I also feel like functionally there is maybe, and again, like this is another like 5 threads that were really dropped that we don't understand how they are going to work going forward. But like maybe functionally something changes when Agatha relinquishes her control of the Darkhold. Maybe that in some way relates to Rio's ability to like seek out Agatha. Because it's interesting that they have this like majorly adversarial relationship, and it's like not explored in WandaVision in any way or discussed in any way. Yeah, that's a thought too. That could be part of why Rio is showing up now. Maybe she senses that Agatha has lost control of the Darkhold, no longer has her powers, is maybe closer to death than she's ever been at any point in her long life. And she's drawn in by it. It's alluring to her.
Yeah, but then Agatha's like, "Hey, let me get my power back, and then come back and kill me." She's like, "Okay, see you later."
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I definitely get the sense throughout the whole series that there are a lot of moments where Rio, like, she shows up with an agenda. She wants to, she wants to kill Agatha. Then she wants to, kill Teen because he's an abomination. And every time Agatha is able to kind of like work her wiles and get Rio to act against her better judgment. So like, I feel like that's why it ends up feeling so confusing, like why Rio's there, what she wants, because she is really acting against her own work and her own best interest because she's so whipped on Agatha, like so whipped on Agatha.
I almost wondered, like, I wish they could have like built something in to make it a little more clear. I also almost wondered, like, is Rio mad at Agatha for all the lives that she took from death? Like, did Agatha claim the lives of the witch's power she took instead of death? Was she stealing bodies from death?
I feel like Rio has to be excited about it. No,
I thought she was almost like, don't kill me, here's sacrifices that like almost gives me the years that I need.
Like, I thought it could have either been like they could have been working together for her to provide bodies for death, or is death mad? I just felt like it wasn't clear why Rio was coming in with a grudge. I felt like it could have been a little better explained instead of us positing theories. Like, just give us the answer. don't
but when we find the reveal of death, I screamed. I said, she's death. I was like, oh, she's dancing. Oh my God. It's just the like allegories and all of that stuff that came out of it. Fascinating. But I thought it was a lover's quarrel. And I was like, oh, this is a witch she did dirty in some way. Yeah. And, so like maybe they're the will they, won't they of, centuries.
So that's so how I feel. Like, I feel like, and again, sucks that we didn't see it, but they had this, romantic relationship up until the birth of Nikki. And then I feel like at that point, even though Rio takes the time to spare Nikki's life, give them some extra time, I think that Agatha carries a grudge from that and is pissed. And my read of the situation is that from that point, she is always keeping Rio at arm's length. And so Rio, wanting to be close to her and wanting to be in a relationship with her is like acting out in these crazy ways because she doesn't know what to do. She should be an all-powerful being. She's death. And she like can't get this witch to make out with her. Like, that's how I feel. That's what I feel is happening. And so she's just like doing weird shit because she just wants to get in Agatha's pants.
It's like, what's the big deal? I was just doing my job. I took your son. So what? I gave you 6 extra years. Like, why are you so mad?
Yeah,
and then, and even the knife work that they do, right? Where she's like pushing like the knife in just to make her bleed a little, but then not. And I was like, what kink is this? And why are we watching it? Maybe it should just be private. I don't know. Like, what in the 50 Shades? So I don't. They really put us into the universe so quickly that you have no choice but to literally go along on this journey. And with that, we realize, Agatha's like, listen, just wait. Let me just get my powers back. Which again, I was like, oh, it's gonna be there. The like, gonna be the big bad, and that's gonna be the battle we see because Marvel always needs a battle, but which is what happened, but not for the reasons I thought.
And then we get the introduction of one of the weakest points, I feel, of the series, the freaking Salem 7, which ends up just being a bunch of nothing. It's like, okay, that was pointless.
So disappointed. I was really excited for that, and like especially all of their animal forms. Like I saw online, like all the different casting choices. I like really thought that they were going to do more than that, and it was definitely just like excuse to use like a creepy costume design and stuff, which I appreciated. But I know I saw people were pointing out on Twitter that in Lilia's episode where she flips the tower and the Salem 7 die, you don't actually see all 7 die.
Yeah.
So after that episode, I was really hoping that like 2 or 3 of them would come back and continue to cause problems just so that they like their presence continued in the show. But yeah, sadly, all of them dead.
Yeah, because apparently 2 of them can become animals. So
and that fly.
Yeah,
That's the
that
key.
fly,
2 of
yeah.
them are animals that fly. One's a cicada and one's an owl. And so like in theory, they could just like get out of there.
So alleged, and we only saw 5 fall in the shot at least. So who knows? I love a good Easter egg that goes nowhere. And, so we'll see. And yeah, so then the Salem 7, are introduced again. Fascinating. I love that backstory, right? Like what's going on with Mom and Agatha's mommy issues, right? Why did Mom want to kill her so bad? What's Nothing makes sense, but it's fine. We have to hold that because Teen and Agatha are on the way to get a divination witch, and then a potions witch and a green witch. Jokes. And I really enjoyed this like buddy cop comedy type thing that we got here, where Agatha's changing every time she meets. Well, I guess she changed only for the divination and not the others, but she's this Southern woman. Then she becomes this like this like yuppie.
Yeah, jade egg enthusiast.
She's a con artist. Like that's what she does. She she changes
Yeah.
her environment. She is this is a scam she's working. And I love nothing more than a good recruitment episode or recruitment saga. Like we gotta go get these people. Let's go the journey of getting all these people and how we get them. So I love the different environments we saw with everyone and what they were all doing with the Jen being the skincare guru, the Gwyneth Paltrow knockoff, I guess.
Yes. The goop.
It gave Goop bigly. Yeah.
Gave
Huge
big goop
energy. Big Goop. Yeah.
And then we see this kind of disgraced Alice, which is great. And then we see Lilia, all people that are kind of in lower portions of their life, right? And they're looking for power, looking for purpose. And I loved how, Agatha was able to play on all that to get them all, to convince them all to come to her house to go to the road.
The other moment with that I really liked is, like you were just saying, like this is a trope that you see a lot, like the recruitment episode, and I feel like it can get kind of stale. But I loved when Teen is, decorating Agatha's house with like "Welcome, Coven," and he's made his little appetizers because it was almost like a meta non like we know that this is kind of dumb or like kitschy, but like they're all here now and like they showed up and they're gonna have half of a stale granola bar and then we're gonna go on our merry way.
The little comedic moments like slip into every episode are done so well and so effectively. It's great that they there's no big comic set pieces. It's just all these little lines that are thrown in that are just wow, wonderful. I love that.
And I love when they come together. It's like this like HOA meeting vibes where we have no idea what's actually going to happen, but it's still, I feel like it's tying this WandaVision vibe to what's gonna happen, because literally I feel like up until the ballad starts, we're still in this like cutesy, silly, fun show, and then all of a sudden that's when we get our first jump scare where the Salem 7 show up, and I was scared, just like Teen, because when whatever, is it a ghost, an apparition that went through the window to get Teen? I was like, please, Lord, I didn't sign up for this type of show, but it was okay. We were all good, and then the ballad starts, right? Like earworm to the max, obsessed, and I love that Agatha is trying to piss all of them off. And the one time she doesn't piss them off enough to get the powers, the door opens.
I mean, yeah, we'll find out why later, but then it's like, and then to rewatch that and realize a surprise on Agatha's face of like, oh shit, like this is something that could actually happen. Like I didn't know this could be a thing. Like it was something I made up, and then the realization on her face when like Teen comes down is like, let's have to roll, let's go. She's like, oh, okay, like this is interesting. Like the fact she just like goes along with it, like, okay, sure, let's see where this goes. Better than getting effed up by the Salem 7. I guess we'll see where this takes me. This kid's reality. We'll see what happens here.
The fourth wall break there, where she's just looking at the camera like, what the actual hell is going on? So good. Yeah, I remember watching that moment. Like thinking to myself, when Agatha is like trying to get them riled up, right? She's like, you are horrible witches or whatever.
Yes.
And that part, it felt so like overplayed or overacted that at the time I was like, is this show going to be like a little too heavy-handed? Like in that moment, I got a little nervous because it felt so heavy-handed. But now it's like, oh, duh, this is a con she's done for hundreds of years. Like through this new lens, makes exact sense why she was doing it the way she was. So I love when you can like I this whole process of rewatching and like going back and everything differently. So good.
And we can just say it now too. The montage of her stealing all of those. I said this, but the Leo at the TV gif, like that was me, where I'm just like pointing. She did it.
It's like all the different eras that she's done this in, like all the different costume changes, just like to tell us how much time is passing is just so wonderful, especially
and
like
all these witches she conned. Like
like the late 90s, early 2000s, like emo witch dresses. Like definitely, I see where we're at.
Yeah, it's just again, it probably didn't take that much of actual episode time, but tells us such a powerful, good story. And this is what we say, like, give us some backstory for everyone, even if it's like through just this funny thing. But again, we as the audience getting conned, chef's kiss. I love a good like, oh, they got me here. And of course, we're now on the road. Agatha don't know what the hell is going on. And we get to the first trial, which is like this middle-aged second chance at love is what they called. And this is where we get a lot of, I feel like, character values, right? Where Teen is like pushing the story along. Now we know why, because he is the story. He like the storyteller, versus Jen really wants to unbind herself and trying to make this potion, right, to save everyone. Kitty Foreman don't know what the hell going on. Like she's fine.
She just wanted some wine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Listen, this is stressful. Wine? She's not used to this witchy stuff. It's like she doesn't know what's going on. She's just a normal. I mean, listen, she's been through the whole WandaVision of it all, and now she's been dragged down this mystical road by these witches. She just needs to get drunk off her ass and just go along with whatever's happening. So
you're muted.
Yeah.
Too excited.
No, we put a swivel on you. Is that what it's called?
What is that called?
Wait, I have it in my notes.
Wait, why can't we hear you?
Right here.
Oh no, you're back.
There, we're good. A sigil, yes.
Yeah, you put a sigil on me. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, we put a sigil.
I mean, if y'all just want to be quiet, you could have just said so. You didn't have to. You had to hex my computer and make it mute.
Enough men talking. No, I'm just kidding.
Please.
That's another thing. I feel like another big strength of the show is like, again, we've talked about the casting, but like I loved this whole this entire show basically is all of these like engaging women and then this like little gay kid. I was like, yeah, what a squad. It's such a fun group. I feel like it made it so exciting.
And you can sell a show like this, wake up production houses, because it works, okay? And we eat it up if it's good. And so anyway, we have the first trial, right? And we see like, oh, this is how it's about to be. And I again really enjoyed it, but we have our first casualty. And we see Agatha's selfish ass. This is where Agatha really pissed me off. I was like, she could die. It's okay. Just let her be.
Because she wasn't drinking the wine?
Yeah, and she's not doing nothing. She's playing everyone. She's not a team player. I don't want her on my group project.
No.
She's
a saboteur.
Yeah, she'll put your name on it. She'll put a name on it if just you all did the work. Like, just put my name on it and just turn it in. We're all good. But yeah, she's not trying to help Mrs. Hart. She's not trying to drink any of the wine. She's just like, whatever. I love the kind of the way that we're getting to meet the characters now, right? Because we're getting into what do they all fear? What's part of their background? We see Jen confronting the doctor that put the bind on her. Like, okay, that's interesting. We're seeing Alice confront her mother. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So we're getting a little more backstory into who our characters are and what they fear and what some of their backstory is. I thought it was a great way to give us that information in a little time, and then getting getting the different ingredients of the potions was fun to
That
like,
was really fun.
Yes.
especially with the was it the petroleum or whatever that they had to get from Jen's
Oh,
product.
yeah.
Brilliant jelly.
Yeah, it's like,
That was
we
so
got some of
good.
this, Jen. Is that okay? She's like, yeah, fine, put it in. Like, it's like, oh, I thought you were all organic. It wasn't artificial stuff in your products. But that was all just kind of fun, and just to have Jen be like integral to solving
Mhm.
this quote unquote escape room was a great way for her to shine in that moment.
I also loved, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but
Mhm.
I loved that for all of them, they had to utilize a like witchcraft skill that was not
Mhm.
just light powered magic. And liked that moment for Jen as well, like for her realizing that she still has access to so much power even though she's bound.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was a good little initial seed for that character, and to then finally have her unbind at the end was really exciting as well. But it's almost like she didn't need it. She creates this potion that saves them all. She also heals Billy, which we'll get to when he becomes injured in the next trial. Yeah, she was so powerful all along. You don't even need the CGI pew pew to
Yeah.
get things done in this and on this road. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it just, and I feel like we could spend hours talking about just each trial because of how well it's done and how much space they do give, especially in the first one, to each character. Because Jen, we right hear her talk when they're at the campfire about how she went to the OB basically, and she thought it was a thing. And we know for, if you know history, Black women, that's how genealogy, not, yeah, gynecology, sorry, has happened, is by tests on Black women without anesthesia. So I was like, are they going to, wow, if they go there, but they don't. We just realized Agatha, unfortunately, is the one that freaking that did put the spell on her, but it's really interesting.
I thought the Agatha binding her was interesting, and I was almost reading into that. I was like, did Agatha really bind her, or was this
Mm.
Agatha being like selfless and convincing Jen, yes, I bound you, so do this ceremony on me to unbind yourself? Because it's kind of like, you had the
Mm.
power all along to unbind yourself. You just had to figure it out. Because that's a little bit too coincidental that Agatha and Jen were in the same spot, and Agatha, I guess, put was paid to put a spell on Jen or whatever. It just seems a little too coincidental. I wondered, because I mean, this got in that, because this happens in like episode 8, where like,
Mhm.
Agatha has quote learned lessons and is a little more selfless now, and to try and help Jen with her journey is like, yeah,
Yeah.
I know that bounded you, so do your little ceremony on me and get your magic back. Because they mention in one of the trials or whatever where Jen's doing something, she's like, huh, maybe he didn't really like kind of bind me, is what I thought. Like, maybe I had it in me all along. So I thought maybe
Yeah.
I'm reading too much into it, and again, writing the story that isn't there, to be like,
Mhm.
maybe Agatha was just like, yeah, you're fine. I bound you. Do your little unbinding so you can get your power back. I
Mm.
just wondered if anyone else read into that like I did.
I love that. I
Yeah.
Yeah,
love
I
that
didn't
explanation
think of
because
that at all. Wow.
yeah, because like, well, what I was just talking about, like she makes such an immense impact on the earlier trials. Like she's doing so much even though she's bound. I really like that idea that it's kind of like a psychological thing. Like she's decided that
Yeah.
she can't actually do magic, but she really can. And if there's one thing that Agatha knows how to do, it is how to masterfully manipulate people. So I think
Mhm.
that makes
Mhm.
total sense that Agatha, in her heart, she is becoming a better person. She does want to help these other witches in their journey. So she's trying to help Jen. But if Agatha's going to do one thing, it's going to sit in that villain niche. Like, I
Yeah.
actually think that she, as a character, is uncomfortable with people seeing her as something other than a villain. I think that
Yeah.
she has like villainized herself for so long, thinking about the guilt of all the witches that she's killed and thinking about what Nikki would say if he knew that she was doing that. So I think that, like, you can see her discomfort in moments where the other witches are starting to like her or connect with her. There's that moment around the fire where she's talking about like the ladies of liberty or something, and kind of like laughing with the other witches. I feel like you can sense her discomfort. She's not used to being in a coven and being respected. So I love that idea that she is like actually helping Jen, but she's doing it in a way that, you know, still allows Jen to hate her.
Yeah. She's doing it through being a villain, which is her
Yeah.
way. And you know, you mentioned that, Franny. I love how they kind of toe the line from hero to anti-hero. Like they never let her go too far into the light. Like they never let her get too heroic. It's always either something that she is, at least at the end of it, says, well, I did that for me. Like I didn't do that for you. I did that for me. Because like when she mentioned sacrificing herself for Billy at the end, she's like, I just did that to get out of the thing. I didn't do that for you. That was my thing. But you know, she kind of sacrificed herself for Billy because he reminds her so much of Nikki. But yeah, I love how they never made her too heroic. They always kept her squarely in the anti-hero kind of mold, leaning more into villain than hero. So I like how they towed the line. They didn't. You could have easily by the end of this been like, "Oh, Agatha's a hero now," but like, no, I still think that she will stab you in the back if it comes to that.
Well, and she wants to.
She does, and she does want to. She's excited about it. Here's okay. My mind went in two different directions. There's two different things I want to talk about, but one of them is I feel like there's actually, when I think about all the witches we know, like you know, I'm thinking about Wanda, I'm thinking about, you know, Alice, Jen, and Lilia, and then I'm thinking about Agatha. It feels like for all of them, a lot of their expressions of magic that we've seen in the Marvel universe have been fueled in some way by grief, which is really interesting. Ooh, yeah. Like, Wanda's entire creation of the Hex, her most powerful moments in the MCU when she, you know, after Pietro dies and is attacking Thanos after Vision has died, like all of those moments where she's most powerful are fueled by grief. I feel like Agatha's, you know, centuries long witch killing is also fueled by grief. She doesn't know what to do after Nikki is gone. And so all that she can think to do is to continue down this road that they were on together and, you know, sequester herself into this little box of being the villain. And then same with like Lilia, she's driven by this like confusion and grief from losing her maestra, not understanding why, not understanding like the course of her life. And then Jen, grief over losing her power and feeling bound. And then Alice, grief over losing like her mother and knowing about this generational curse and being in denial of it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's interesting that they all have this.
It's kind of a shame that Mike isn't here to draw the parallel to Lost of like, you know,
yes!
You know, when these people resolve their story, that's when they leave the island or the road, as it were, because that's what happens, right? You know, Alice comes to terms with her mother's curse. She, you know, removes the curse, and shortly after that, she's gone. Lilia comes to terms with, you know, watching her coven die and finding this new coven where she's like, you know, because she talks to her teacher and is just like, yeah, I don't have a coven because like, what's the point? They're all just going to die anyway. Like, and she's like, no, like the teacher kind of makes her realize, no, you need to have a coven, you need to have people. And then she's like, yeah, I have my people, and now I'm ready to sacrifice myself for them. And it's like when she comes to terms to that, she gone. And then, you know, Jen gets her power back. She's gone off the road.
She's gone.
Yeah. So that was a great way to use those things to make that quote unquote journey down the road to find what they needed, so they can move on with their lives, no matter whether it be in the afterlife or in real life. I feel the most sad for Alice because, you know, Alice dies, and I thought for a while it was just like yeah. I thought for a while I was like, are we never just going to see Alice again? But then we got that little moment of just like when Alice is dead and Rio comes to get her, and she's like, basically like, yeah, this is bullshit. Like I just got this curse lifted. Now I'm dead. And Rio, who, you know, she is deaf, but she also kind of has like a heart. It's a black heart, but she has a heart. Where she's like, well, you're a protection witch, and you die protecting someone, so you did your job. And it kind of helps Alice to come to terms with going to the afterlife. So this emotional journey that our witches were on, and for them to resolve their feelings, I thought was a really great way to tell the story.
Okay, you know what? You brought something up for me now. Do you think that death gives them the answers of what's going on, right? Like death helped Alice say, hey, you're a protection witch, you know, like you died doing the heroic thing, blah, blah, blah. But does Alice ever get to learn that this was actually in, you know, Teen or Billy Maximoff's mind, and this is why you died? Because that'd be like return to sender. There's no way this like little teenager killed me for no reason.
I'd be coming back to haunt teen. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna
Yeah,
have a cabin full of ghosts.
True. I feel like Rio's job, and we see this, I think both with Nikki and with Alice, like her job as Death is to say or do whatever she needs to ease that person's passage into the afterlife, right? Because she says in one of the episodes she hates ghosts. Like she doesn't want the world to be populated with all these people who have unfinished business, who won't leave. So I do not think she tells Alice that it was all in Teen's head, right? I think she's going to say whatever will make Alice feel most proud of herself and like comfortable with the situation so that she can move on. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
No, I like that. And I think, and Alice gets to meet her mom, hopefully. So that hopefully it's, eases everything.
I'll tell her that she broke the curse.
Yes.
That's a big deal. This is another question that popped up for me earlier that I'm really curious what your takes are on this. So when Alice dies, when Agatha kills her by sucking up all her powers, afterwards, they all turn on Agatha, and Agatha is really saying like, I didn't mean to do that. What do you guys think? Do you think that she actually, to a degree, cannot control it? Or is that her play acting and trying to be the victim or something?
I really wasn't sure, because that question came up for me too, because you can see as she's like taking Alice's power, she has this kind of face. It's like, oh my God, like I want to stop, but I can't. I just wonder if it's just like, this is my first taste of power. Like I can't help myself. Like once you pop, you can't stop. Like, you just like you have to suck all the power, and she just can't help herself. I just also wondered if it was like her mother had some part in this, like was still inhabiting her and making her do this. So it's very unclear. But her facial tics were kind of like she didn't want to be doing this, but she for some reason had to. She even kind of says that after they're done, like I didn't want to kill her, like it just kind of happened. Like I do just wonder if it's like this is my first time doing this in a while. Like it feels too good. I want to stop, but I can't.
I go back to your original point, Jason, where you can't have our anti-hero step too close to the light. So if she would have blocked it here, would the blocking, would her blocking Billy's later on wouldn't have felt meaningful? Because you're like, Agatha already did it. We know, well, if she did it for, Alice, she's definitely going to do it for Billy.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
# boy mom. So that she's going to do it for Billy.
Such a boy mom. Extreme boy mom.
Like, girl, be serious. But so I think, unfortunately for that, also, it doesn't matter. And she's just not good yet. Good, as in she's not ready to see herself in the light yet. And and your mom is taunting you like that. Have you ever been a teenage girl with a mom? You're gonna do the not nice thing.
Yeah, it makes you want to be naughty.
Yeah.
definitely her coping mechanism is to just dig herself deeper into the hole. Yeah,
so I just feel like it wasn't her journey, it wasn't her time on the journey to be good yet. And poor Alice, we lose her to that. And again, these Easter eggs that they've cut into the story, right? Where Lillian says it before, way early. Don't give Agatha your power. Like, don't help her. And these like random cuts that all come together, just what smart writing. Like, shout out to whoever came up with that idea. And did y'all like trial number 2, the like 70s whatever studio? I thought it was fun. Like, no. Okay.
I thought it was fun. I thought the set pieces were great with the curse taking on the embodiment of like this demon.
Fair. Okay.
I like that part of it. It was fun, I would say. It wasn't my favorite. And the ballad earworm really just kind of hits you in that episode where they're all singing. Right. I loved how fun it was with all the different things while doing the performance, with Rio just kind of lazily hitting the drums. You got Lilia with the different instruments.
Yeah, that was so funny.
There was a lot of fun moments in there. It wasn't our most kind of like consequential trial.
Right.
I mean, of course it helped Alice come to terms with her story and with her mom and the curse and everything, but it wasn't the most consequential. It was good for a mid-range trial. It was good to stick in the middle there, I would say. Yeah,
that was definitely the point where I was like, we got to change up the structure pretty soon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is gonna get
It's
old. So
big,
that's what
yes,
they were
yes.
doing. Then switching it up after that. I think that was a good like pacing choice for sure.
Yeah, agree. And of course, Teen right after this is unconscious, and then we get. I think this is when it happens, right? Where Rio says, or around one of these, it doesn't matter. Where Rio says, "That's not your son."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, "Well, damn," because I definitely thought it was.
Well, no, I mean, listen, I think a lot of people were speculating coming into this that Teen was Wiccan. Like, I felt a lot of people going into WandaVision
Okay,
like,
okay.
were like, oh yeah, okay, that's gonna be Billy. We all know it, we all get it. But they really tried to throw us off. They were just like, oh, it could be Nikki. It could be Nikki. Who knows?
It worked on me. I thought it was Nikki for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm too dug into the fan
Period
theories
king.
and all that
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
because like I came in kind of expecting him to be Wiccan.
Oh, okay.
And the red herrings they're trying to throw at us it did have me doubting for a minute, but then I was like, okay, no, he is Billy, he is all this. But yeah, in that scene where like Rio and Agatha are like very tender with each other, and then Rio's just like, that's not your kid, right? And Agatha's like, and then just kind of walks off like, ooh, more sparks. I love that. So that was just such an intense scene, and to realize where Agatha's motivations are, because yeah, it's not my son, but he just kind of, like you said, Sasha, she's in boy mom mode. She has to protect this young boy because she lost a young boy. Was really effective in the way they decided to do with Agatha for the first time that we've seen, really caring about someone, really caring for someone, where she's kind of there with the wounded Billy, and she's really concerned with his health at the moment.
Yeah, and all the witches, I think, lower their guard down, unfortunately, for them here, right? Seeing her be boy mom, hashtag boy mom. So I again, it works really well for the story. And I wanted to also bring up the broom ritual, because now Salem 7 have made it, into, now we know Billy's imagination. But they're here, we gotta run. And then they take these silly stereotypes of witches and turn it on its head, where they're like, well, damn, we gotta ride the brooms, but the ritual of them giving it to each other, and and making the broom beautiful, and then flying over the moon, like, just so good. Where taking something, again, stereotypical, but making it meaningful. What a great way to do it. And even Teen was in on it, apparently.
Yeah, I love that moment. I loved it. It's also like, and this is the thing that I liked about it, is I feel like there are all these moments across the show where it's really showing, like, first of all, anyone can be a witch. Like, even at the very beginning when Agatha is saying, like, what is it, like, within a mile radius there's like 3 people witchy enough to form a coven or something. Anyone can be a witch. And also the part of being a witch is the community, is the like sisterhood, regardless of your gender. And yeah, I feel like that was really reflected in the brooms. Like, you have to share it with somebody to be able to do it. Like, and all of these witches are very much covenless, but like that is part of what like saps their power, saps their like potency in the world. And then once they're together, they become like really powerful and actually able to do stuff.
Yeah, just and I think the burning, right? Like the burning of the witches at the stake that happens in the previous trial, the like 70 at the music studio. Again, it's just they're bringing it in, but in a way to almost like be like, no, that's not what actual, witchcraft is. So I really enjoyed it. And they become ET. And of course we get the 90s trial, which we've already talked about, but that was my favorite one. So I just wanted obsessed with everything. They said Stranger Things who, no, I'm just kidding. But it was really nice. And I enjoyed all the actual layers we learned here. And we get Nicholas Scratch, who she apparently made from scratch, which I have so many questions about.
Yeah, again, that's another question. The parentage of Nikki. Like, she mentioned that she did this with no spell, no incantation. She made him from scratch. So it's like, does that mean it's like you're Virgin marrying this, or like
yeah,
or did you have sex?
Immaculate conception?
Yeah, there's been other theories about who Nicholas Scratch's father is. Like, is he a father of Satan, or is a son of Satan? I mean, or who? Like, again, that's another story. That the storyline's like, Okay, who is Nikki's father? That's another question we need answered. So yeah, I think that's something for down the road, hopefully. Down the road, of course.
Down the road.
Yeah, I'm going to stop
On
saying
the
that at some point.
Witch's Road, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's another question needs to be answered, which left me like I was like, okay, I need more answers. Who's Nicholas's dad? We don't know.
Yeah, Mari, show up immediately. Okay, we need it. But yeah, again, I loved it. And now we know that Teen has powers by the end of the 90s cabin trial.
So
yeah,
fun.
I mean, it's kind of his emotion over losing Alice that really kind of sets this off.
Grief again,
Yeah.
fueled by grief. All these
Yes.
And this causes him to like lash out and just like bury Jen and Lilia. And then it's so as a father of a teenager, it's like that's perfect teenage emotion, right? They lash out, and then later it's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Like I shouldn't have buried you in under the road. It's like those teenage hormones, whether you're witch or not, they'll kick in.
Yep. It's Frannie, the show that Jason and I covered, The Power was the same thing where it was all the girls have superpowers to kind of like counteract this patriarchal world where they showed that like girls can now run at night and be safe because they can literally burn men if they try to attack them and with electrocute them basically. Anyway, but that's what it reminded me of, because in The Power, it's like it's almost a symbolism for like you're getting your period. It's like, oh, I have the power now, and only certain women can get it. But anyway, it was fascinating. But trans women also got it, so really interesting show. And then we launch into Teen's life, and when I tell y'all, I could not, from the opening moment, right? My notes say Teen is Jewish in all caps. Because he just like reading the Torah, and they're doing the whole his like bar mitzvah, but not like it's just they didn't have to, right? Like have the exact prayer that you say right before you start reading the Torah, and I'm like saying it back. I'm not out of bar mitzvah. Like, why do I need to say it back? But it's just it felt so cool, and it didn't have any like POC Jews, but it's fine, I guess. Just, very basic. And then we learned his name is William, which I'm sure for the comic book people were like, that's okay. Got it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Sure. Yeah. And then, of course, at just like any bar mitzvah, there's a palm reader.
Is that a major thing, Sasha? Is that like? Does that
I feel like
happen,
I've definitely been to a good amount where they are. Yes.
That's good to know, because I've never been to a bar mitzvah, so I was like, they were just looking for a way to put Lilia in, but that's helpful to know.
I mean, and again, like not all of them, and I don't know that they were at boys' bar mitzvahs. I'll say that, but I think you got to make something happen, and I guess it's a queer boy, so maybe that's how we're gender bending it a little bit. Yeah, I've definitely been where they do like a carnival theme type thing, and then they have all these booths.
The booths,
they have the henna. I've even seen henna booths, all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was really funny. But then yes.
Yeah, I thought all the
from here.
Yeah, I thought all the Billy origin stuff was really fun.
So
the fact that he had seen all the other witches before, which informs us later of maybe why these are the witches that were formed of the coven, was very interesting. To see Lilia encounter him and have that recognition enough to be able to put the sigil on him. And as we find out later during the Lily episode, she's like, yeah, I saw who you're going to be. So I want to give you enough time to kind of be who you are so that you like were protected from other witches. Was like perfect, because this show was filled with things that happen and you're just like, okay, I don't know why that happened. Then later we find out it's like, oh, that makes so much sense of why she put the sigil in his pocket. So I thought it was very well done. I thought the story of how Billy enters William was really great, and all the after effects of that, where he like can't remember. He seemingly he seemed kind of like a baby consciousness, right? Because he can't remember he can't remember William's life. He also can't really remember Billy's life, as we see. Which one of the funniest scenes is when we go find Ralph Boner again.
Oh my god!
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, and
he kind of crazy.
He kind of breaks it down for Billy, who Wanda, Vision, and the kids are, and for having kind of realized, oh shit, maybe I might be Billy, and to kind of figure out where he needs to go from there. I thought was a really great way to introduce, kind of retroactively introduce the character and how he got to be who he is now.
Yeah, I also loved that at the start of that episode, it is such an extreme tonal shift from like at the end of the previous episode, we see this kid with this explosive power and just this like really intense moment. And then we're at the bar mitzvah. Like
Billie Eilish,
tone shift. Billie Eilish
singing in the crown with
so good. Jaw on the floor for that.
Yes.
I love it. But I love that when they start this episode, and it kind of, it reminds me of the structure of WandaVision, of course, too, where you have that episode where you go back to the real world. They really let you sit in it for a while before it ties back into the original show. So I love that feeling for the first 5 minutes of kind of sitting with bated breath, like, okay, we're at this bar mitzvah, like what's happening? And then you see Lilia and you're like, boom, we're so back. Like this is what's happening. I thought that was really well done. And then the other thing, kind of like comparing this to WandaVision, again, I loved WandaVision. I thought it was really well done, but I think the sort of reveal episode or the reveal moment really happened in the middle of the season where you realize, okay, there's a world outside the hex. It's Wanda doing this, and there are, Sword is outside trying to get in or trying to get to her. And that reveal happening in the middle of the season somewhat deflated the rest of it for me, because it feels like you kind of know everything you need to know. But what felt very different about this show is I thought, okay, this is our big reveal moment. We're seeing this background of like Billy William. And then now we know everything we need to know for the rest of the show. Not the case. There's like 4 more kind of surprising reveals. So I liked that they give you this big moment so that there's a change in the structure and you finally have more context that you didn't have before, but it's also not the end. Like that's not, it's not straightforward from here on out. The road is gonna twist and turn like several more times before the show's done.
Yeah. And again, this is where my Marvel trauma kicks in, right? Where you're like, oh, they did it so well, but they did it so early. Now a bummer. It's gonna go downhill. Nope, not yet. And for me, when they show the teen's kid, the parents, sorry, when they show his parents, I was like, so what's the reveal here? That's not, you're not his mom, or that's not your son. I was like, well, who's the mom? To me, it was in my brain that his parents are going to be important. So, and then to see these like just 2, nice Jewish family, I was like, what's not clicking here for me? And then, you realize what actually happens, and he had died, blah, blah, blah. But wear your seatbelts, everyone, please. And it's terrible tragedy, but, at least Billy is able to show up here. And now we're going to look for Tommy, and we know that's his, forever journey. And now we go to the castle trial. The Wizard of Oz, Maleficent, right? Who else? Oh, Snow White's evil witch. They've all shown up.
I love that.
So good.
And they so many times throughout the series, they're just like all the witches were bristling at the stereotypical witch stuff, and then to get to this episode where they're all dressed as famous witches, they're just like, oh my God, for real, like this is ridiculous. This is crazy. But so many shows do these time jump gimmicks, gags. Sasha, you and I covered Loki season 2, which was like chock full of that. And that was that was a show that did it very well. Yes. And I feel like this show as well also really just kind of laid it out for you in a really clear, concise way, kind of laid the tracks out for you of what we had seen before. So it all really kind of made sense. So bravo to the show for being able to do time loop, time travel things in a clear way.
And did you, because again, we're in the Marvel, so we're maybe able to follow this stuff, but I love to know from y'all, and let me know in the chat too, was it easy to follow? Because for me, it was. I was like, okay, I understand now what's going on. I understand who the future Lilia is, versus past, where it all made sense to me so quickly.
Yeah, I feel like it became easy to follow once you understood that Lilia's consciousness is taking the exact same path that you are through the episode. I think that's what made it easy to understand. I think if it had been jumping through time more as like a storytelling device rather than like, this is literally what this character is experiencing, it would have been more confusing. But
I like that.
yeah, I think it worked so well. And this is one of my, like, I love this style of like time travel or whatever, where like things that Lilia learns from the future impact then the future later. Like the reason that she shows up to the castle and says to Teen, like, we're good, is because she had a moment earlier where she wasn't good, but they're like, but you said you were good. Like, I love those. I love the like future impacting the past. I think it's
And
really
I
cool.
love that Lilia's confusion tracks us in our confusion, and we're like, wait,
Yes.
what?
Yes.
And as Lilia learns, we learn about, okay,
Yes.
I've been jumping through time. I've been jumping through various moments. And I kind of clocked in episode like 2 or 3, like there's probably some essence of time travel here that's going on when she's doing these outbursts of like she's just saying these things like, okay, this is all going to come together at some point. And then just to see it all laid out here, and to, like I said, as Lilia learns, we learn, is something that really was helpful for us to keep track of how this happened.
100%. It's just, again, I just appreciate when they don't dumb things down, they just make it easily accessible. And that's what I love from a TV show. I love that from life, whatever. So thank you. Thank you. And even the tarot, right? I feel like a lot of folks, if you're not into tarot or astrology, you're gonna like poo-poo it or see it as like a silly plot device. But here they were able to use that, and there are a lot of meanings to each card. Like folks should look that up because again, great like Easter egg, like Frannie was saying. So, like storytelling that you don't need to know the answer, but when you know, like, oh, why the swords or why this was happening, it just adds like a really fun layer to the whole show.
Yeah. So the thing with the tarot that's so fun, like you were saying, I think if you're watching and you never do tarot and you don't care about it, like it was still engaging. But like Matt and I love doing tarot. We pull cards every single day. And so we were like, our brains were exploding because we were like, and even, obviously the cards that Lilia pulls in the real reading that then allows them to move on to the next trial are explained pretty well. But even like the cards that Teen is pulling or that Agatha is pulling, Matt and I were like pausing to see what they were. And like,
I love this.
It's just like so rich for interpretation. It's so much fun.
Well, and I love how they kind of show their perspective of people like me who aren't big tarot people. Like, I don't know what this means. Where we have Teen who kind of thinks he knows what it means. He's like, I think this means this, and then we have Agatha who just and Agatha who's just like, F it, like this means this means that. I don't care, whatever. And then as we see the swords come down, and then we see Lilia, who is the real pro, and kind of number one realize
she's
Queen of Cups. Number one, realize that she's a traveler, as she has to kind of read the deck for herself, and as she's putting down the cards, she's really great at explaining in a short, concise way what the cards mean and what their meaning is to each individual person. I loved that she kind of gives each person like their flowers in a way.
Totally.
Where she called, I forgot what Jen's thing was, but she's like,
High priestess.
Yeah, she's the high priestess. Right. And we see a little profile shots of everyone doing their thing. Yes. And I just love how she was able to kind of, because this is almost kind of sort of the last trial. This is kind of the summation of trials. And we're just like, this is what all these characters mean to everyone in this journey. I thought it was a great way to sum up this kind of thing, and for the great sacrifice at the end. Now, I've seen people say that what we see with Lilia at the end, where she's her younger self, is almost kind of like a Lilia living in this kind of circular time. Like, she didn't really die. She sent her conscience back to her younger self, and she just kind of lives her life in this main loop. What did you guys think of that kind of theory about? Do you think that's a good way to kind of sum up Lilia's story here?
That's how I feel about it. I feel like she, is going to like continue to live her life in this infinite way, all out of order. But, I think that this moment of like understanding why this is happening, like why, it's all out of order, is what allows her to like enjoy that life that she's living instead of experiencing it in a way that's like stressful or trying to hide from it. But yeah, I definitely think that she just like went back to the beginning and maybe just starts the whole thing over again. You know, like I love that ending of like sitting down and like, okay, let's start a lesson, you know, everything that she's learned. Now she gets to learn a whole new host of lessons with the knowledge that she has. I think it's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I'm in the middle a little bit where I think that Marvel does this really interesting, right? I talked about time travel. So I think we need to decide which time travel theory, right? Like Marvel is using for Lilia specifically, because if it's the like, oh, everyone, has the same, your journey can't be altered time travel thing, then you're right that I think she goes back to her younger self with more clarity, and maybe she's not going to be in a loop, but maybe the end doesn't change for her and she's still able to sacrifice, but it's a little bit less stressful for her, and she's able to maybe be better version of herself, is it that like the maestra is gonna figure this out for her? So I don't know.
It's kind of the chicken and the egg principle of time travel.
Totally.
Like what came first? Does she already have this knowledge, or does she have to live a whole life first to get the knowledge? Like, which is it? So I think it's a great way to end her story and end her journey. As opposed to Alice, who I thought was kind of short shrifted in her death and her exile. I thought Lilia got this in one episode, got this really great journey, and it was one of the shorter episodes too. So it was like this in this one short, concise episode, we were able to focus on Lilia, tell her whole story, and give her a fantastic ending, which is why I think episode 7 is one of the best episodes of the series.
Oh, very totally. Not even close. Yeah.
Did you all see? I assume maybe you did, because it seems like you're online about all this stuff. But did you see the interview that the swords were a practical effect as well? They literally had
I didn't
swords.
Know that.
They had swords hanging from the ceiling by piano wire, and they had to carefully stage the scene, and the swords literally dropped from the ceiling and went into the floor, and the actors were in the scene with them. Not every sword, the ones that, yeah, okay, right. Well, the ones that fell on their chairs were like Joe Locke and Patti LuPone had to like jump out. Those were CGI, but the other ones that are more like in the foreground, that was a practical effect.
Like, how the hell did the insurance sign off on that? Like,
and did the Baldwin gun not teach us anything? We just don't do this.
Yeah, I thought maybe if it was practical, it would have been the thing where like they come out from the bottom and you kind of
do it in reverse or something.
But you're saying it like they literally came from the ceiling and like stuck down. Like that's insane. That's crazy.
No, thank you. That's scary. Oh my gosh. Again, I love it. It just feels like this team is so different. Because the back end and production people have done a lot of really cool interviews about why they chose what storylines. I would recommend folks read that stuff too. It seems like a storytelling full of passion and love for the actual content.
And there's like, speaking of like behind the scenes stuff, and to read about the relationship between Patti LuPone and Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah. Oh my God. Have you guys seen their Hot Ones?
Yeah.
Episode? Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
So funny. So funny.
So I mean, and to see that kind of bond through the show kind of makes you feel like that maybe there was a bond behind the scenes as well for all these women to kind of really women and Joe Locke to kind of form this coven, if you will. Totally. Maybe wasn't just on the screen, but behind the scenes as well. So I think it was really a really good like show to see where it's not just on the screen, it's behind the scenes as well.
Yeah. The other thing to that, the other like behind the scenes thing that I would definitely recommend people check out if you haven't is Marvel released a clip of them seeing the practical set of the road for the first time, and it's so cute watching them walk around and be like, I've never seen anything like this, like this is going to be so fun to act in. And they're all like literally just like walking down the road but chit-chatting, and they're like holding their scripts and coffee. Like it seems like such a fun vibe. It really added to the experience for me watching that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just I love all this kind of like I love watching interviews and all this extra. Oh, it's so good. And I watch like every Easter egg breakdown of the episodes. But here we are. Can't be like a 7-hour podcast, unfortunately.
And it would be if we did every
imagine even if just we talked about each episode in depth, and then all the trials seem to be done until they're not, because we're in the morgue and we again talked about the unbinding. But yeah, this felt very much like a yada yada moment where we need to like finish Jen's storyline, and she has to be free for whatever reason, so that's nice. But outside of that, I was like, this could have been an email, this particular trial. And of course the witch's road is a circle, right? We get everywhere hit all over the face with with symbolism of everything, where with the witch's road is a circle, so we start where we ended, like in Agatha's basement. It's now everything's sterile, blah blah blah. And we learned that Agatha, of course, is protecting Billy from Rio, until just like I feel like Dumbledore raised Harry to die at the end. This was like, you have to sacrifice yourself to Rio, and that's the only way that Agatha gets to live. So then we get a final pew pew battle, which was like interesting and not at the same time, which I don't know how I feel.
It was good that it was short and sweet, right? It was only a few minutes. We had the whole thing where we blast Billy into the greenhouse, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And then it really kind of ends in this sweet moment where basically Rio comes out and is like, all right, enough of this. Like, one of y'all have to come with me, and that's just this is how it's gonna be.
Stop the battle.
You're not gonna beat me. So one of y'all just gotta come with me. Like, come on.
Yeah, our CGI budget is up. We can't do this anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. We can't do another pew pew. We've run out of money. So one of y'all has to come with me. And then of course, Billy's like, I'll do the hero thing. Take me. And Agatha's like, you got it. Take him. Like, we're good. We're good to go.
It's like, whoa, you weren't supposed to say that so quickly.
Yeah.
When I tell y'all I screamed, I said, oh, yes. Because I miss like selfish characters. Like, I think they're so funny. And in reality, I just met this kid. That's my, she called him Pet for the longest time. That ain't someone real to her.
I just love he's like, take me. She's like, yeah, take him. He's like, wait a minute. No, you're supposed to say no, take me. Like, that's how this is supposed to go.
He's like, you're the adult.
Exactly. And then he lays the telepathic guilt trip on her of like, yo, you really gonna do this? Like, is this what you did to Nikki? And it's like, oh, that's the trigger. And for whatever sense that Agatha gets now, she's like, all right, fine. Let's do this thing. Let's get the kiss of death going. And
I will say, Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You go.
I was just gonna say, I will say that moment, like it's good from like a character growth perspective. Like Sasha, you were saying earlier, like she doesn't stop sucking Alice's powers, so it's more powerful when she stops sucking Billy's. And then you see her character growth. You see that she's actually willing to be good. But Matt and I were discussing this, and we were like, if not for like Marvel as a whole, like they obviously need to set up this next storyline of Wiccan and finding Tommy and stuff. If not for that, it would have been like a perfect capsule of a show if Agatha had actually just given up Billy and just like wahaha and walked away and like gone on to other hijinks. I feel like that would have been really, really fun and like really would have fit the Agatha All Along title that we eventually got.
Unfortunately, we have to find some sort of redemption. Oh my god. Like,
boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Let
without
villains
that,
be villains. Come on.
Without that, it would have been the perfect villain story, right? Like we get these quote unquote villain movies all the time. They aren't really villain movies. Like I think of like a Venom or these other villain stories that they end up being just kind of anti-heroes. And Agatha kind of follows on that same route. Although she does show many selfish ways throughout the journey, she does end making the ultimate sacrifice, which is, for her is not really that much of a sacrifice because she technically is still around.
Yeah, she just a ghost. She just got a new outfit and dyed her hair. That's really all that has changed functionally.
She can even grab shit if she really, concentrates.
Like,
Nothing
oh
is
my
finished.
god, her becoming the like Mr. Miyagi at the end is so funny.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that
poor
fits that
Billy.
that really fits her comic book character, which
Yes.
you know, if we're thinking about, you know, I guess I'm probably the one that can speak to this. The close to comic book, you know, scale was not high. Like there's a lot of things that are different from comic books in these different storytelling, which is kind of like the MCU's thing. Like we're gonna kind of do the comic book thing, but not really.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, but Agatha Harkness is kind of like a guide or mentor in the comic book stories, mostly of the Scarlet Witch. Actually, she does a lot of mentoring to her, but she's kind of a mentor to the mystical arts wielders in the comic universe. So for her to end up in this capacity for Billy does kind of fit her character in the comics.
Here's the thing I will say though, if all we see of Catherine Hahn in the future of the MCU is with this like stupid ghosty overlay, I'm gonna be so pissed because she's such a good actress. I just let her act in full color. Like I don't want to see her translucent on my screen, you know. Any way that she continues in the world, I'm excited about, but I really hope we get, you know, I hope we get her body back, please, a little bit.
So it's something, a flashback, right? Oh my gosh. It's just
Mhm.
yeah, I loved it. And of course the reveal, right, of that it's Billy's all along,
Yeah.
and his mind and all of it just so good. I don't know. It's just
Mhm.
the reveals they did beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm too much online in this world, I had heard
Yeah.
people theorize that this was the thing, but then for it to actually
Mhm.
come to realization in this way, and the way they revealed it, and the way that they went back and showed us, so like, you should have figured this out a long time ago, dummy. Like, it
Yeah.
was a really
It's
great
all
way
there.
to, yeah, it was a really great
Mhm.
way to reveal it. Almost like the people are calling it the kind of Kaiser Sosaying of
Totally.
Billy realizing that he was realizing for us, the audience, realizing it was Billy all along. It was really, that's really what
Mhm.
this show
I'm the
is.
drama. I
Yeah,
do.
Am I?
was a great reveal. And it's like, wow, you really are just like your mother, like trapping people in a reality of your own making and, you know, making them do things. And I love the kind of cop out where Billy's like,
Mhm.
so you're saying I killed these people? And I was like, well, technically, you saved one because I was going to kill these people anyway.
Yeah.
So really, you saved a life if you think about it. It was like, okay, good
Mhm.
cop out, good way to kind of excuse our hero of killing people. But to see that realization come to his mind and how he processes that
Yeah.
was a really great journey for us to take with the character.
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
that they also both make the joke like, "Well, I guess now, like, I'm kind of your mentor, and like we both did kill our covens."
Yeah.
I said too soon.
Yeah, yeah. You just laid the gravestone for those people, okay?
Yeah.
Too soon. Oh, yeah, I think one of my favorite
Mhm.
moments, like looking back
Yes.
on the series after we find out that Billy created the road was when Agatha confronts him when he finally reveals his powers and says that you and your mom have the same tell. Because that was
Mhm.
such a line that
Mhm.
I noodled on for a long time. I was like,
Right.
what is she referring to? Like, is it him getting upset and like using magic? That's kind of what I had settled on. But I was like, that felt like a really strong line for kind of a weaker example. So I just didn't really understand it. And then for that to finally make sense and it's like, oh yeah, they create their own reality. That's the
Yeah.
tell. Like that
Like
that felt good. I like that.
your tell isn't blinking when you lie. It's creating whole realities to kill
Yeah.
people in.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
that's a pretty
Yeah. It's
big
really
tell.
hard to pick up on, but
Yeah.
once you see it, it's
It's
hard to
minor.
miss.
It's
Oh,
minor.
Yeah.
yes, I love that. I love that for us. And yeah, is there anything else like if, for you, Franny or Jason, that we didn't talk about or cover?
I mean, there's so much we can dive
I
into,
know,
but
I
you
know.
know, we
Yeah.
don't want to be here
Top
forever.
of mind.
Yeah, but I really found it to be enjoyable. Like I said,
Yes.
the mystical arm of Marvel, whether it be in the movies or comic books, is not my favorite genre
Mhm.
of comic booky. I'm more like a action adventure, street level hero guy. So coming into this was like I didn't know what to expect, but I was really pleasantly surprised with what I got. And I'm always a sucker for great story and great character. So no matter even if it has it in there, I'm 100% there. So I love this a lot, and I thought it really did well. I'm hoping for a season 2. So that should tell you all you need to know about how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I came at this from a totally different angle, which is the witchy coven. That's my shit. That's exactly what I want to see. So I came in high expectations, ready to rumble, and I loved every second of it. Yeah, we talked about this at the very beginning, but I was so struck by how deeply invested they were able to get us into all of these characters that were fresh faces. Like, yeah, I cared more for these characters than I have for some characters that have been in the MCU for a long time. So yeah, I just think it was so well done. And
we're looking at you, the cast of the Eternals.
Oh, nah, he this is Jason's bread and butter. But no one hates Eternals more than Jason. You can't tell me this.
Can I use this as a forum to give my criticism about the Eternals?
Please.
Of course, yes.
That killed me about that movie is you could not have 2 minutes go by without them saying slowly, intensely, some piece of dialogue with the background music telling you this is the most intense piece of dialogue, the most intense emotional moment ever. That was every 2 minutes of the movie. I was like, you cannot, every moment cannot be the big emotional moment. And because they did that, it cheapened the entire thing. Like I was so prepared to like that movie. And then it was just like, I became emotionally exhausted from all of the quote unquote emotional moments that they were trying to make happen that like didn't land.
It sapped all the fun that we usually get out of the MCU.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
We've seen this go right with Guardians of the Galaxy. You make us see a squad of people that no one's ever heard of, that we don't know who it is, but you make us fall in love with them over a movie. And it just totally fell flat with the Eternals. Because like you said, Frannie, they took everything so super seriously. There's no fun in that movie. I almost thought it was like a Zack Snyder movie with how dark and muted all the colors were.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was at sometimes boring. Like the characters are not hitting for me, other than like Kumail Nanjiani's character.
Yes. He was barely in it. He was barely in it.
And I was
like, he's the one I'm most excited for.
I said he did not put steroids in his body and do whatever bad surgery.
For a cumulative 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He probably thought he was going to be a cornerstone of the MCU. We haven't seen him since.
Oh.
And I was sad.
Now he's rich now, so he got that out of it.
Him and Shang-Chi, when they get together, it's over for you hoes.
Never. But I can never not take a minute to bash the Eternals. So I love that you feel that same way, Frannie.
Yeah, brief future. I just never gotten to talk about it with anybody. So I've been holding on to that for like years now. But yeah, anyways, the contrast is like Eternals so self-serious to the point of falling flat. Agatha All Along, they committed to being silly and did so in a way that then caught us off guard when they were incredibly serious and emotional. And it was chef's kiss. So good.
Correct. And listen, I will always consume a Marvel property, good or bad, but I am grateful that this was very good and smart and women's driven, but it didn't feel, nothing felt like it was hitting you over the head. It just, again, I said the thing, but it felt like you were on a journey and you were really going down the road with these characters that you just didn't know. And that's because of smart writing and good casting. So I appreciate all of it. And, whatever's next, I can't wait. Hopefully Vision Quest is not, a failure because we're 2 for 2 with this universe. At the current stage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we needed a win. So this was this is good. I feel like I needed a win. And Vision Quest, if it is just about, please cross my fingers that Agatha's there. I want Billy to be there, because if it is just White Vision, talking about philosophy. Bye.
We don't want it to be a journey to build Vision back together, and that's just it. There has to be other elements to come into play. That's where humanity fails us, right? Because there's only so much you can do with these live human people that we need to bring together to do movies and television shows. If this was an animated project, if this is the comic books, we could have a series tomorrow. But because we have to deal with all these real human people, paying them, making them come in and act, who knows when we're gonna get the follow-up to this? Which is one of Marvel's biggest problems, is they have this big vision, pun not intended, but not enough time, not enough resource to make it fulfilled, because it's not a comic book where you can just write it, draw it, and be out the door. you have to do so much. So I'm hoping against hope that we get an Agatha All Along season 2 where we can rightfully answer some of the questions that we have here. The fact that we leave this show of like, all right, let's go find Tommy. You're giving me a promise that we're going to see that journey. That's what you're doing when you say that. So you better show me at
We're
some
pinky
point.
swearing.
Yeah, that's what you're
better
doing. You
do
tell
it.
me that. Like, don't tell me, show me. And that's my biggest thing with Marvel. Don't just tell me it happened. Show it to me. I want it. So if Marvel, I know you're watching. It better happen. I need it because now you got me hooked on Agatha and Billy. So you need to give me more.
Somebody at Marvel is watching right now, and they're like, "Shit! Like damn it! Show, don't
Jason,
tell."
Exactly. And the fact that we saw we saw Tommy, but we didn't really see Tommy is like we still haven't casted Tommy, obviously. So we got
They were like generic young boy. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Exactly. So I'm just hoping that we get these. We just need to pick up these threads, and because we got a lot of threads that are on the ground, we just got to pick up one or two of these Agatha threads and play them out for us, please.
What's new? Yeah. Are we surprised? So this is the state of Marvel. And one last question before we go, but next Marvel project you're excited for, or is there one? Maybe there isn't, and that's okay.
Frannie, wanna?
I'm excited for the rumored Scarlet Witch movie. I said at the beginning, I love the Scarlet Witch. I think she's such a badass, and I feel like anything that Elizabeth Olsen participates in, I will be psyched about. So that's what I'm excited for. That's probably a long ways off. But I am willing to wait. I am being patient because I feel like a lot of the other stuff that's happening right now, I'm much less excited about.
So. The Witch's Road is a circle, so we'll come back to Wanda one day.
We'll be back. We'll be back. Exactly.
Well, at the finale of Agatha, before it came on, you saw kind of a trailer of things coming up, and I'm very excited for most of it. I would say we've got.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, we've got Daredevil Born Again, which is coming out, which is
that's Jason shit.
That's my jam. That is my jam to the max. So I'm super duper excited for that. We've got a new Spider-Man animated show coming out, which is also my jam. We've got the new Wonder Man series, which I think looks very interesting. It kind of feels like an offbeat Marvel project. It's got Yahya Abdul-Mateen in it, and it's got Ben Kingsley coming back as Trevor Slattery, being like this acting coach. So I'm excited to see what that's all about. So the previews we got for all these things really kind of piqued my interest. So I'm really hopeful. Oh, and Ironheart as well, which seems to be. It seems to have some mystical elements itself. We're going to have a lot of kind of demons.
Is Sasha Baron Cohen actually going to like?
I think so.
I
forgot about that.
As Mephisto, and we're going to see Mephisto, the Hood in there, which is like kind of this demonic, mystical being in Ironheart, which you wouldn't think would feel like it fits there. But I got my trust in Marvel. They've been on a good track record since Secret Invasion, so I'm hopeful for them to see what's going on there. So I'm very excited for what's to come for Marvel down the road.
I love that. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, and I think for me, I'm really excited about Thunderbolts because we've talked about it for so damn long that like you just come on already. So that's what I'm really and Fantastic Four. Again, people are gonna like think I'm a fool, but I, love the stupid Fantastic Four movies that we've watched. The fact that Chris Evans isn't going to be, the Human Torch is like stressing me out. And
but you got some of that in Wolverine and Deadpool, so that's
And I screamed when he said "flame on." Oh my word! But so I think I'm really excited for Thunderbolts just because like they've been teasing it for too damn long. And and there's any X-Men thing you want to drop my way, please. I'm poor. I'll take it all. Help me. So anything X-Men, I'm sad. I don't care if it's like a little, one little zoom and it's gone, and then I have to watch it, slow down on a YouTube video. I don't care. Okay, X-Men, give me. Yeah, so that's where I am. And Frannie and Jason, just thank you so much for giving me your time to do this. This was truly a joy, which I already knew it would be. And with that, where can the people find you, Frannie?
Yeah, I am, I'm online.
Yeah.
My username for everything is at Hail the Veil, mostly on Instagram. And yeah, I'm not very active though, so I don't know that there's much to see. But if you really want to seek something out, that's where it is.
Listen, talk to Frannie, okay, about all things supernatural and Marvel.
Yeah, come find me. I'll give you a tarot reading. That's when we can really dig into things, Yeah.
Oh my gosh. First of all, do that for me. Because I also
Yeah.
live in the Bay Area. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh, wait, you do? Oh my God.
yeah. I live in Oakland. And yeah, Jason, where can the
Yes.
people, as if they didn't already know you, but where can they find you?
You can find me currently on the cesspool that is Twitter at JAYR1085. I don't know how long I'll be there, so
We
come
got
find me
till
while you
noon. We're
can.
going to Blue Sky, guys.
Yeah,
We're
come
just doing
find me
That's
while
why
you
I was
can.
like, should I say my
yeah,
Twitter
no, I'm
handle?
not.
I don't know. It's not long for
finally
this world.
decided I'm not gonna plug. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as podcasts go, we've been on the Rob Has Podcast Network on the Love at First Sight feed. Me, Asia Welch, and Mary Krakowski just wrapped up our coverage of Love is Blind season 7. Interesting season to say the least. Um, so if you check that out, want some coverage on that, check that out. Me and Asia are also covering Married at First Sight right now on the A Perfect Match podcast, so you can check that out. If you like Love is Blind, do you like Married at First Sight as well? And for a little side project that I have been doing, it's called The Good Pod, where me and my co-host Marissa Garza, we talk about the show The Good Wife and all the Good Wife related properties. We are rewatching Good Wife. We're in like almost the second season, and we are covering current episodes of Elsbeth as they come out this season.
I didn't know you were doing that. I love The Good Wife. How fun. I'm going to listen to that. I'm excited.
Frannie, let's talk. Come aboard. We're ready for guests. Let's go. But yeah, if you want to find me on all those platforms, all those things, I'm more than happy to have you watch, listen, talk to me about what you're thinking about these different properties. So that's it for me. Sasha, what you got?
Love that. Yes. And of course, y'all know I am talking pop culture, why something's trending. If you want to know what's going on online, you need to check out Mess Magnets, where Kirsten McInnes and I are talking all that and more. We just talked about the Martha documentary. And honestly, it's just like 30 minutes of me geeking out over Martha being a toxic queen. I love that for us. I love that for me. So just check out Mess Magnets on messmagnets.com. Yeah, we have our own URL, and you can find out where you can listen to us. And of course, Matt Ligori and I are talking Dancing with the Stars. We obviously didn't talk this week because they were off, but we'll be back for the 500th episode of Dancing with the Stars. So it's gonna be a fun one. And we just had America on for last or 2 weeks, whatever. Last episode, and we go live right after the episode, so it's really fun. We have a little mirror baller community going on, so check that out on Rob is a Podcast YouTube channel. That's where we go live. And for everything else, yeah, just I can't even plug Twitter anymore, y'all. I'm so tired of it. But yeah, just we'll meet each other again, and of course, until then, it's been real. Bye.